The supplies used for the layered stamping technique are 2 contrasting colors of ink, low-tack tape, a side folding card base, and a piece of cardstock that is cut to the same size as the card base, a background stamp, a sentiment stamp, a stamp positioning tool, and a paper trimmer. We'll start the technique by placing the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 piece of cardstock into the stamp positioning tool. I'm notating exactly where I'm placing this because it will be something to refer back to. Place the background stamp over the cardstock so that when it is stamped, the entire piece of cardstock will be covered by the background stamp. In order to keep the cardstock in place during the stamping and restamping process, I'm using a piece of low-tack tape folded into a circle, and then I will position that piece of cardstock back exactly where it was. Now I'm inking the background stamp and will apply it down to the cardstock as many times as needed in order to get a nice crisp image. The cardstock is still held in place by that low-tack tape. Once you have the crisp image that you desire, then we're going to move on and stamp directly onto the card base. That card base is going to be placed with the tape on the back, and it will be exactly in the same position as the piece of black cardstock. We're going to get a continuous design exactly in the same place on both pieces of paper. Stamp that as many times as you like, but if you are using pigment ink, be sure that you allow time for the pigment ink to dry. Now we're going to trim the panel and be sure that you have enough room for your sentiment. You can make this area as large or small as you like. Just make sure that you position the pieces to where you don't rotate your paper and cut the wrong section away. We want the design to be continuous. I've put everything back into the MISTI, and I'm using the corner of the MISTI to help me line up those pieces of paper. Now I've added the sentiment with black ink, and I will use the corner of the MISTI again to make sure that I have a nice flush piece of paper on top. Sometimes it's easy to get it crooked, and this helps me to be able to line everything up nicely. And I'm going to add that top piece, and it's going to be a black design, and then it fades into a gold design where everything is in the same position, and then down to the first stamp in the black. You can see that you can use this technique with any color cardstock and inks. It works beautifully, and it works great for assembly line stamping. Thanks for joining us for another Split Coast Stampers technique.